It's been quite the weekend of political drama. Everywhere is hot. And today on Breakfast Central, we're going to be unveiling or discussing and analyzing some of the hottest political stories that happened over the course of the weekend. We hope that you had a great weekend and that your week is off to a great start. A very good morning and you're welcome to Breakfast Central. My name is Olatunji Disu. Very excited because today the team is complete, joined with my two gentlemen. Benga is back. I said, Benga, your fans missed you. I told them I sent you to wash the car.
Hey,
that's it. You know, you're the one that is going on leave next. So just prepare. Every day I'll be dropping it hot. But good to see you guys, man. It was a weekend of what started off in the entertainment industry as the battle, the chaos in the ring. We didn't know there was going to be also chaos in the political arena, boxing, politicians boxing themselves into new situations. And wow, boy, oh boy, we have a lot to unpack today on the show.
A whole lot. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, it's great to have you. I mean, like we always say, thank God for life.
Yes.
As long as we're alive, then you can say then there's hope. You can keep hoping.
But hope is not a strategy, as Olive would say.
Strategy. But then again, Oliver said it, the weekend filled with so much to talk about from back and forth. People were looking at a lot of things that would be different, especially from what happened. And now, if you are a member of the ADC, social media is agog with fill this form and move, fill this form and move. Over 9 million we hear have departed, and the website has eventually tanked. And the ADC website. You know, there's a lot to unpack, guys. I don't even know where to start from.
Did you see this coming?
Yes, I did.
As Ashake will say.
Did I see what?
This coming, this political alignment.
Well, in a way, yes.
Yes.
In fact, I remember one of our conversations on this show, you know, Joe had asked one of the ADC representatives, is there a possibility that they're going to move to another, I think it was Ladiko Johnson, you had asked that they're going to move to another political party. And they're like, no, that's not part of the discussion. It's not on the table for now. With Nigerian politics is like football. Anything can happen, right? But
I thought the Supreme Court ruling, the antebellum issue, had, you know, because they were celebrating the judgment, I thought it helped.
So antebellum was temporary. It was very temporary because it only sorted out that issue. There were other bigger issues that they had to deal with. Not forgetting the 10th of May, which is the deadline by which political parties are supposed to submit their membership list. Will the ADC meet up with that? We never will know, or we don't know. In the next few days, I guess we'll find out. But for those who are wondering what is happening, let's get into the meat of the story and tell you that yesterday, former Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential elections, Peter Obi, and former 2023 presidential candidate of the NNPP defected from the African Democratic Congress ADC to the Nigeria Democratic Congress NDC in their bid to secure the party's ticket ahead of the 2027 general elections. Peter Obi left the Labour Party late 2025, joined ADC in December 2025/early 2026 as part of a big opposition coalition with Atiku Abubakar, Kwankwaso and others. ADC was meant to be the mega platform that was to challenge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027, but internal crisis in the party, ranging from legal battles, disputes over presidential tickets and primaries, they have boiled over, leading to his resignation. Obi, in a press statement announcing his resignation, cited agents infiltrating the ADC, creating the same problems he saw in Labour Party as reason for his defection, and is accompanied by former governor of Kano State, who was also a former presidential candidate to the NDC, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. I don't know if you all saw the video of Seraki Dixon when he was addressing the party and talking to them about, you know, welcoming them into the fold. He said something like, this is the most solid party. This is a party without litigation.
Actually put for now.
For now. This is a party without litigation.
Without antebellum.
He didn't say this is a party without antebellum. I said, oh, God.
Wow, shots fired.
Shots fired at the ADC. But let's take a look at the glorious moment where Peter Obi and Kwankwaso became members of the NDC.
Your Excellency and the leader of our party. Your Excellency and my dear brother, Rabiu Kwankwaso, our chairman, and of course, let me stand on all due and existing protocols. You can see that what we did by, when I say let the woman speak, shows that this party will support affirmative action for women. Yes, sir. Because it's too long when 50% of our population are not participating in our production. Because the party will definitely move the country from consumption to production.
Nigeria will be okay.
We thank Kwankwaso sincerely, and I join him to thank the leader for the warm welcome. And I assure him that we are coming here to be peaceful part of the family, that work hard to build a united, secure, prosperous Nigeria that will work for everybody. Kwankwaso has been so is a leader at the forefront of education, at forefront of providing primary health care, at forefront of pulling people out of poverty. Because we want to build a country where a child of nobody can be somebody without knowing anybody.
We live in, especially my humble self and His Excellency Peter Obi. And we realize we are all on the same page, believing in education, believing in empowerment of young men and women, believing on security, and of course, believing in a very peaceful, united Nigeria. So, as we are going, during the discussion, we realized that the party, the NDC, is submitting its register, I think, on the 6th. Now, at this point, I would like to invite all Nigerians, including our brothers and sisters who are in diaspora, especially those who
the tutelage of the leader of this party. And we don't do anything until it is commanded. First and foremost, we want to present to Your Excellency, distinguished Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. On the other hand, ably supported by our leader,
a new Nigeria,
we present to the in-law that have already been accepted the membership card of the NDC. As a symbol of your entry, this is what we decorate you with. It's also decorate the reigning principality.
Happy scenes there in Abuja, the venue of the latest wedding ceremony, to put it loosely. Political wedding, because the NDC is now the latest bride in town.
Yes. So the NDC described
and
themselves...
the ADC is like the second wife.
Well, we'll come and talk about that second wife. But I want to say, read the actual way in which Seriake Dixon, I don't know, we do not have that video, I'm not sure. But he had described it as the most stable party, most credible. But the question is, the stability of the NDC will come into question. Yes, he said no factions, no ongoing court case, no leadership crisis, no status quo antebellum, ready to serve. So the question now is, can we judge the stability of the NDC, bearing in mind that it's just a 2-month-old party? We've seen, and we will see the rise of the NDC in the coming days, with the coming of the influx of the obedience as well as the Kwankwaso movement, with the influence that Peter Obi brings as well as Alhaji Musa Kwankwaso. Now, supporters of Peter Obi, of course, have moved to the NDC, and lots of them will keep moving in the coming days. But the issue now is critics of Peter Obi have brought the fact that he has moved from political party to political party in the past few years, having moved to PDP, from PDP, moved to Labour Party, from the Labour Party to the ADC, from the ADC to the NDC. While he would argue, and his supporters would argue, that the reason why he's moving is because, there are actors, political actors behind the scenes that are infiltrating the party and attacking, the concept of him, that are maybe threatened by him or threatened by the idea of what a unified political party will be. And as such, there are certain clogs in their wheel of their progress. Critics of Peter Obi would, however, argue that you cannot keep making the same mistake over and over again in the different political parties. And what is to say that this same reason will not come to light again, or this will not be another reason put forward in the NDC? But, I mean, in the next few days, we will see things as it is. And who knows, maybe this may have been part of the plan all along, that the NDC was registered as a backup plan all along from the jump. It may have been. That's also the
my take on this is, you can't blame Peter Obi and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. It's political pragmatism. I haven't seen the handwriting on the wall and witnessed the disruptions. In the ADC, it will be suicidal of them to remain and wait till May when will INEC shut the
10th of May. Yeah, 10th of May.
For the political window to close. So it's a survival mood, and it's a good thing they had that option B, the backup plan to move to the NDC. Like they said, no crisis, nothing, no status quo, antebellum. But I'm sure when the courts open at 8 a.m. this morning or 9 a.m., Olive, what time do you lawyers?
9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock. They will be met with several lawsuits, because some have been threatening that why would you be a member of two political parties at the same time?
Who is a member of the political party?
They say they've not, they brought out documents that this person is registered here.
That's the legal advisor to the NDC. His name is Egwaba, Barrister Ruben Egwaba. The point is, they said Egwaba is a member of the NDC and also the ADC.
But it's not hard. All they need to do is write a
CNN and BBC at the same time.
The NDC clarified it.
Or Arise and News Central. When you finish here, you now can read this. Arise or compatriot.
But the NDC put out a tweet and made it clear that, listen, this is his letter. He had resigned since. And then they ended by saying, can we move? Like, it's no need for conversation. However,
Joe, you're looking at this from a logical point of view. There's a lawyer here.
Hold on.
The law can entertain, and I can take you to court that I don't like the color of your car.
I know you don't like this tie, but let's go to court. But then again, if the NDC thinks that its woes are over, I don't know what's coming. I can smell that something is coming. There's a video where Mr. Gregory Peter Obi mentioned why he had to leave. And he stated that everywhere he has gone to, there's always a problem. There's always crisis. But let's watch this video. I have some points I just want to bring out from here.
And just to mention that you can head to YouTube as well to start dropping your comments. We'll go on YouTube and take your reactions to the story.
I've ensured that they put up crisis upon crisis, which led to litigations and everything in our party that made us to abandon those parties and moved to join another party, while thinking that our situation will abate. But what we saw is that they carried the same problem to where we went to, creating several unresolved litigations and everything. And today, we've left that place to NDC Where the leader have already told us no litigation. We are pleading with them. For sake of democracy, please, don't come here.
So, Mr. Peter Gregory be there making it clear to all the politicians, said, don't come here. He has been criticized heavily. I mean, we've seen the essay to the president by Onanuga has said, has called him the nomad politician, has moved again.
Yes,
he had already
Mr. Felix Moka described him as a nomadic politician.
Nomadic politician. Many have said that
to say a headsman politician.
Exactly. Wow. He's just moving. He's looking for where to hide. But whether we like it or not, we did mention, look out for that name, a barrister, what's his name, Ruben Egwaba. Apparently they said he was part of the NDC and the APM, Allied People's Movement. But he can't be in two parties. So NDC has clarified that he had resigned from the NDC a long time ago, and they put proof out there. But then again, let me go back. Whether you like it or not, with what we've seen and the trend we've looked at, Peter Obi is a threat, even to his own people. When I mean his own people, internally and externally. He's a threat in the sense that he was in the NDC, and then all of a sudden, we had said it here many times on the show, you cannot have too many captains on a ship.
No, you cannot.
When we started seeing the powerhouses all moving to the ADC, I mean, Benga, it's like football. Let's use football and
too many ships.
How many strikers? Peter Obi is the most sought-after striker, right? Whether we like it or not, politically. And he says, listen, I want to play. You can't put me on the bench. Atiku is like your Abramovich. And he says, listen, I'm old-timer, I'm a striker, I also want to play. You have from nowhere, Rotimi Amici came out and said, I know, I used to play from the wings.
I'm a Lamin Yamaha.
No, he's too old to be called Lamin Yamaha. let's call him Shevchenko. And then he says, listen, I want to play. And that's not all, though. You now have a Dino Malaya who says, okay, guys, even if I'm not playing, let me play the role of a midfielder. I'm going to support you guys whichever way. And then Kwankwaso comes in and says, I'm going to play supporting striker to anybody who wants to strike. When you have too many captains, what were you expecting? And then the litigations
and we have been talking about it on the show. We have been saying, what is the possibility that all these people who have interests will not cause the party to implode within itself? So now another question that comes to mind is, what is the ADC? What is left in the ADC? Peter Obi left the Labour Party. As soon as he left the Labour Party and moved to the ADC, the party resolved its issues. The courts sort of resolved the party's issues. And now he's left the ADC. There are still some people left in the ADC. Is it now automatically an Atiku vehicle for 2027? So these are the questions I would ask. And Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, we remember him saying then that, I mean, from a number of the interviews we had seen, their loyalty to the ADC, whoever the party chooses, they will throw their weight behind the person. But the question now is, we did see the trajectory. From the moment where we heard reports about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar paying millions of dollars for image management to a US consulting firm, we said you wouldn't invest that kind of money if you imagine that you would be second place or you would not be the front runner. And I remember speaking with Demola, it was Demola Olatunji when we had him on the show, and I said, if your principal is spending all that money for, to create a public image, to clean up his image, that means he's fighting this thing tooth and nail, and he will not take second place. So what happens to the ADC is the next question. And will the NDC be able to meet up deadline on the 10th and survive the political landmines? Because best believe that this is not the end of the journey. Before Gbenga
jumps in, Olive just said political landmine. There is a landmine as well, because it was mentioned yesterday that if you go to the INEC portal, the Barrister Egwaba is listed as legal advisor to APM and NDC. That's what is being said.
Maybe he's really good at his legal advice. Most sought after, Ballon d'Or of legal advice. Jokes apart, but looking at the ADC at the moment, I'm just thinking what's next for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, because the ADC seems like a sinking ship. And the Kwankwasos and the Peter Obis have abandoned ship. So what happens?
The funny thing is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will argue
salvage
that he has more influence in the north than
but
Kwankwaso,
what vehicle would he use? Because will he stay and salvage the ADC? Or will he ride the storm? And what happens to Nafiu Balagombe?
Okay, let's take some comments from YouTube, and then we will head to X and take comments as well on X. YouTube is buzzing this morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, first of all, for joining us. Michael Zu says, Peter Obi defects from ADC, Reno Mokri, Daniel Boala, Fani Kayode, Felix Morka, Bayo Onanuga, all APC members are crying like babies. Waiting concern them for this matter, given that they're not ADC members. Mr. Johnson says, I have reserved my opinion on people, especially some journalists, that knows the truth about the artificial disruptions that has been happening in almost all the opposition parties, which it is obviously pushed by the APC. But they still insist that he should have stayed there and fixed the issue that can't be fixed. Because any tongue koti dake, you talk, say you did. Okay, sorry. Let me not ruin this one. He says even some political analysts justify the unprofessional action of the ruling party as part of the politicians' games. Can you just imagine? I classify those set of people as wicked, as it may sound. Peter Obi has also played his card as a strategy politician in his own style. So let every double standard analyst leave us the citizens to go to the polls and vote in whoever we trust to rule us in this coming 2027 as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then he goes on to say, God bless Nigeria, and surely a new Nigeria is possible. Michael Zu says, Tinubu moved from SDP, AD, ACN to APC. Atiku moved from SDP, PDP, AC, ACN, APC, PDP to ADC. Please, show me one politician who hasn't changed parties since 1992.
So I'd like to fact-check Michael's statement. Tinubu, yes, he was an SDP politician, he was a senator in that republic, or during that time of President Ibrahim Babangida, when we had a hybrid sort of model. But AD, AC, ACN and APC, you could argue that they're the same party. They just metamorphosized
into one.
Mergers or acquisitions.
Yeah, they formed the coalition.
Became
the same.
well.
Yes, it's the same party.
Okay. Franco Bote says, anywhere Obi goes to, the movement follows. Still on YouTube comments, we're streaming live via News Central TV Live. Ola Oluwajiboye says, PO never takes responsibility for things. Basing the reason for moving on litigation is disingenuous. He can't face primary and competition for the ticket. Media Judge says, Obi still has one more move before the next election. NDC is not the final move. Interesting. Len Inekwere says, President delayed his travel to France and co. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? They're preparing a faction chairman right now. Yeah, you heard it first here. Okay, movement will give APC a great fight.
Is the factional chairman going to come out today? Because today is what's today's date again?
Today is the 4th of May.
What is simply
Guys, you need to hold on.
Wow. Okay.
Factional chairman.
Factional chairman.
Where's that? I have to bring out the political whistle.
I see.
let's hold our breath. Let's calm down. But where is that talk of factional chairman?
But you understand why
the way we are going with
that
different things on this set.
But you know why that
you will soon bring out calabash.
Wait now. Ikenna Bright says, I just pray there won't be a faction because it is really embarrassing. Oyedokun Olaide says, I love the angle football analysis you guys brought to the issues. Indeed, Obi is the most sought-after striker. And Sharp Kadini says, Obi is my party. If Obi join call today, best believe I go join too. Ochi Gerald Onyebuchi says, anywhere Obi goes, we shall be there before him. Chigbo Anel Lozier says, Obi is our party. But let's head to X and see what those on X are saying about this whole brouhaha. On X, our first tweet says, Peter Obi has always written from his heart. But this one is from the deepest part of his heart, and I could feel the pain in it. No matter the cost, this country must be great, and those who want to see it fail will never succeed. Nigeria will be okay, Ayo Elesho says. And the next tweet says, we told you so. The political nomad is on the move again. Ignore all those puerile reasons he gave in these illogical musings. A self-serving letter to his mob. Peter Obi is a politician made of jelly, an opportunistic fellow. He can't fight Atiku or Amechi for the ticket of ADC. He pursues the easy road that will only lead him to doom, like in 2023. He always blames the government without doing a soul-searching of himself. Welcome, Peter, to the 2027 race, Bayo Onanuga says. And very interesting tweet there. New official says, people really do not understand what it means to be a Peter Obi in a country like Nigeria. This man has tried and continues to try. Very few people have the resolve, commitment, and integrity to keep forging ahead in the face of severe adversity. The biggest mistake you did was joining ADC. Same people that put Nigeria in this situation don't care about good governance. It's power for them. APC, PDP equals ADC. Same people and direction. Good, you left. I know Nigerian politics is useless, but you have enough time to fix the mess up. We still do your back today, tomorrow, and forever, Buchi Laba says. And Tudo Ban says, summary, Nigeria has become so toxic it makes sincere service difficult. Even your allies sometimes add to the burden. They support you publicly, but they're Judas Iscariot behind your back. When you're humble, people think you're weak. They see treating people equally as odd because they are obsessed with status. My decision to leave ADC isn't because of personal conflict with its leaders. I have great respect for all of them. The same government forces that destabilize my old party, Labour, are now creating crisis, court cases, and division within the ADC. Despite all my sincere efforts, me and my team were often treated like outsiders and attacked unfairly, more so as I'm now choosing to exit. I've always said I'm not desperate for any political office, only desperate for a safer, fairer, and working Nigeria. So this person just literally took quotes from Peter Obi's speech and then tweeted it. Whew. All right. Final, I think we should take our next tweet before we move to the next story.
Yeah.
Emmy Dre says, Obi, move, we move. We are tired of the... no, please. Final one. Anichi Nedu Brown says, success or due to Atiku's candidacy, citing it as an excuse to justify an option since Atiku Abubakar rigorously... sorry. I missed the earlier part of Anichi Nedu Brown's comment. He says, by 2027, when the ambitious Atiku contests and loses, and the incumbent, burdened by numerous skeletons in his cupboard, seeks a dependable surrogate to conceal his tracks, he may opt for a southern successor due to Atiku's candidacy, citing it as an example to justify his option, since Atiku Abubakar rigorously contested when it was southern turn. I hope Tinubu is to be unfairly blamed.
Mr. Atiku doesn't believe in that unwritten law of 8 years for the North and 8 years for the South. He will throw his hat in whenever possible. And I did see something on social media yesterday. It was, comedy. A poster of the 2046 elections that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will be 120-something years there. And then the line says, it brings about 80 years of public service, passion, a wealth of experience.
Wow.
Methuselah-like
political ambition.
Yes. But you can understand where that
the sarcasm in that is that Atiku Abubakar has tried several times, and maybe now it's time to actually throw support.
Former President Buhari tried 4 times, and it was 4-time lucky for him. So, who knows?
Well, just to finalize, my final comment would be, while all of this is happening, let's be ready. Between today, while we're on this show, up until
10th of May,
Thursday, we're going to see a lot of political shake-ups and movements here and there. A whole lot. So
after 10th of May, Joe, do you think we'll now witness the calm after the storm? Because all this court cases, are we going to witness calm, some sort of peace in the political atmosphere?
The calm doesn't stop. What I expect now is the person or our focus should be on one person. Not even Obi and Kwankwaso. Our focus should be on the ADC. Because the ADC is between, how do they say, the devil
and the deep
blue sea right now this morning. The more reasons why Nigerians paid attention to the ADC, whether they like it or not, was the fact that they had consummated, they had so many powerful people who gathered together, of which Obi and Kwankwaso.
And they seem to be speaking with one voice.
And they were all speaking in one voice. But now that they've divided, they have to get ready because they would either be standing on one foot.
But this is reminiscent of what happened at the 2023 elections when they said that if they had united, they would have been able to have a chance. So now they're going to split the votes.
It's the APC that will be happy with
exactly.
this.
None of this. The APC is
so that's the bottom line.
Benefit.
Whether I like it or not, shout, Obi, Kwankwaso, shout, sorry.
Do NDC service. What we're saying is they are literally handing over the presidency.
Let me run through the numbers. In 2023, the results, APC had 8,794,726. Atiku had 6,984,520. Peter Obi had 6,101,000.
Imagine them combine that together. That would have been 12 million.
Kwankwaso had 1,496,687. Now, the reason for the coalition was that they said if you take the 6 million, 6.9, which let's approximate it to 7 million of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and add it to the 6 million of Peter Obi, that gives you a total of what? That gives you a total of 13 million. Then you add with 1 million of Kwankwaso, gives you 14 million as to what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had, which was 8 million. That's like a complete landslide. Yeah. But you see, there's something called, what do they call it? They call it, anyway, I can't remember the word now, but it's I can see it. When you have too many captains on a ship, these three were purportedly mentioned to have aligned for the coalition to make it work. And that's what Nigerians were seeing. And
there was an Ibadan summit last week that said they were going to produce one candidate.
So what happened to that summit?
Well,
they will have to have another one.
It didn't work out.
I saw a video.
Those things have changed.
I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I saw a video of a PDP member who was slapped, during a convention. And remember the fight of the PDP? People said, so this guy was just beaten for nothing. And I know nothing came out of it. You had a convention. It didn't work. The PDP faction decided to move towards the ADC to make the alliance stronger. So my question is, where would that PDP faction now stick to? Are they going to stick to the ADC? And bear in mind, Obi just said something now, that we don't want you people to come. Omoyele Sowore says he's not joining them because they are birds of the same feathers. Now, will Omoyele Sowore now join the NDC, seeing that these are not the same people, according to him? A lot of questions to be asked, and I'm happy that we're going to have answers.
I mean, just to mention that there are very key dates we mustn't forget. There's the 10th of May, which is 6 days from now. That is the deadline by which the INEC has given to political parties to submit their membership forms. Then, INEC has fixed between April 23rd and May 30th for all parties to conduct the primaries, meaning that whatever moves need to be made in the next few days so that they become one members. And, once their name is submitted on the membership register, they can then put things in place to ensure that they run for, they have their position as, or run for their primaries. But we must bear in mind that any political party that must wield the level of influence that these people are hoping to wield must talk about structures. The NDC is a new party. It's 2 months old. The party does not yet have structures around the country that would ensure that it's able to, build a formidable force. This short duration that they have, this next 3 weeks, give or take, will it be enough for them to be able to wield the level of influence that they need, first, to get through their primaries without any litigation? Because this brag of not having any litigation is a bit premature. When they've had their primaries, they've fielded candidates, and then no one is contesting it, then they can come back and say, we are without any litigation. But we will continue to watch as this drama unfolds. The APC, again, it would seem that the APC is rattled by a lot of this. They would argue that they're not. But every time these things happen, you see their commentaries on social media. I believe we have one more clip to play.
Yeah, let's take a look at that reaction as well. Let's see the clip.
I have willingly and voluntarily exited and had since extinguished my membership of ADC by constitutional methods permitted under the ADC constitution. My political structure has put machinery in place for actualization of my political ambition and further provision of dividends of democracy through a platform that can accommodate that vision. Before I conclude this short address, in this press release, let me put on record that I was not in ADC to scatter the party, that I labored more abundantly to build, contrary to the video going viral, where Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff to the President, advised me to stay in ADC, contest my re-election, and fight for my right, and scatter the political marauders from the party. Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila's statement was made in a jovial manner, not meaning to destroy any political party, and it was quoted out of context. He was even begging me not to leave my party and wish me good luck in court. He spoke in our usual way of joking among ourselves, even on our National Assembly platform, where all of us chat and joke together. For anyone to now say it is a judicial intervention or try to bring down our democracy, it is the height of absurdity. Clearly, there cannot be a bigger Democrat than Right Honourable Femi Gbajabiamila. He is still to date number one opposition that I have ever seen from National Assembly who believe in democracy as has testified to by many. Rather, the party hijackers are the ones who came to scatter all the people they met on ground by spelling this person or that person without recourse to the constitution of the party, which...
And that's Leke Abejide. You can call him Honorable Leke Abejide because, I mean, you find him in the Senate. But,
you know, the irony of all of what we're discussing is just, I mean, it sounds like political drama. It is political drama. It's just, all of this is to have a platform to contest democratic elections. The elections haven't even started. We haven't even started talking about the issues because we're playing catch-up. If you look at all the indices, we haven't even started debate. We're not talking policy. Everyone is just getting excited about unnecessary drama. And that just shows you what our priorities are. It's really, really sad for a country that is not doing well on many levels, that the whole nation has been held spellbound and been reduced to, you know, it's almost like a Telemundo series when there are problems.
I'm telling you.
Millions of out-of-school kids. There are people that don't know what to eat. We have serious cost of living crisis. Petrol is now 1,300. No one is talking about it. Issues. We are talking about politicians jumping. And
the president, by the way, here cancelled his flight. He was to visit 3 countries. And
I wish Mr. Bayo Anonuga and the others really spoke about the things that mattered.
You know, we have the case of people who have been kidnapped. They're in the dungeon of the kidnappers. They've given the government ultimatum. Nobody's talking about that. You know, we love sensationalism a lot, especially when it comes to politicking and drama. And until we observe that, listen, this is all a game of chess. Nigerians, it's good. It's good. We're not saying, I mean, it's good to understand, okay, these things are happening. But at the end of the day, every Nigerian must hold anybody who is going into that office accountable. You must hold them accountable. And how do you do that? It is by ensuring that you look at what is being done, what has been promised. And like everybody has said, in all of this, should we call it, you know, central display or market display or transfer window?
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans, better. What will come out of it?
Right.
Because if at the end of the day, the so-called elections is not free and fair.
They're almost 1 trillion naira elections.
They almost do, no, not almost. 1 trillion naira elections. And big, I know why I said 1 trillion.
Because of the additional 135.
They put 30 billion, all right, on it. You've not added tax. By the time you add tax and all of this, it's going to get to 1 trillion naira. So because after you put a 1 trillion naira election and it doesn't go well, then there's problem.
Seriously.
Well,
and it doesn't change the lives of majority of Nigerians. Because that's the essence of this democratic exercise in the first place.
Just to mention that in response to that last video we played, there have been comments on YouTube. Mokoye Chukwuemeka says, a man is wearing Tinubu's cap and denying the obvious. Mr. Johnson says, can you see what we are saying? He's leaving after his job has been done. We're not fools. He should have made that joke with you in your sitting room and not on camera to us. Well, God is bigger. Emidre says, if not mockery and insanity, you are wearing Tinubu's cap and you are saying ADC is your party. Is ADC the extension of APC Tinubu's party? What do these people take Nigerians for? Fools? Mokunye Chukwuemeka says the cancellation of the president's trip means there's fire on the mountain. They want to raise a factional leader for the NDC. Like we said, if the NDC is going to be able to survive this,
the president cancelled his trip because of this.
Yeah, we're not sure.
It's an
about
assumption.
I mean, there could be an emergency.
So you can't say for sure.
Anyway, that's what we have for that. We're not done with that story. It's one of our top stories this morning. We're going to have some analysts join us, and they'll be maybe giving us some behind-the-scene information that we're not privy to and helping us thoroughly dissect this. But let's now move to our next story, which is one that is sad and one we've been following up with.
Absolutely. It's an update, just in case you missed it. And we had promised you that we're going to follow this story squarely. Let's tell you that the Nigerian police force, no doubt, have decided to bring to the fore or to the public that they've identified of course, the police officers at the fatal shooting of Mene Ogidi, a 28-year-old man in Effurun, Delta State, describing the act as unlawful and a breach of professional standards. The image you find there on the screen, from left to right, you have the police officers who were involved in that heart-wrenching video that saw the killing of Mene Ogidi. But just take a look and listen carefully.
The investigation established that the actions of ASP Nuhu and members of his team constituted professional misconduct, abuse of office, and conduct likely to cause a breach of public peace, culminating in the unlawful killing of Mr. Mene Ogidi. The force wishes to unequivocally no criminal suspicion, however grave, justifies extrajudicial action. Every suspect, regardless of the nature of allegation against him, is entitled to due process under the law. Reassures Nigerians, particularly the family of Mr. Mene Ogidi, that justice will be served in this matter.
Okay, Olive.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I saw when we saw that video was, okay, first of all, before we criticize, let's applaud. So well done.
Yeah.
Kudos to the Nigerian police for quickly dismissing those officers. They have no place. Yes, please, they deserve that bell. They have no place in the Nigerian police force, but that's only the first step. There are many steps to go. We want to see them being brought before the court. We want to see them taking a plea. They need to go to jail. The mother of Mene Ogidi says what justice will mean to her is that they face the same fate that her son faced, right? But they need to go to court, and the court needs to decide their fate. That's one. Two, why were they back in the camera? That's what, I mean, when they were shooting him, they were shooting him confidently. You know, they were shooting him, they were not back in camera. Why were they back in the camera? If our team can please put a part of that clip up where they were back in the camera. Because if it's young boys that they arrested now, that are into internet fraud, or even people that we're not even sure whether they are guilty or not, they would have displayed their face.
Some of them even rap. I'm sure you've seen that video of a suspect that had to prove that he was a musician and he was rapping.
Yeah.
Imagine. why they had to back the camera. We need to publicly name and shame. And name and shame would involve not just summarily dismissing them, putting their faces out, letting people know that these persons no longer work with the Nigeria.
So if you want to employ them.
Exactly, it's at your own detriment, but this ones can't be employed. And hopefully this is not the situation
They're
where...
not in the labor market.
No,
Anyway,
they're not in the labor market. They have courts.
No,
Exactly, they have courts to face. Let's share with you our headlines this morning, and we'll let you know what the top stories are right about now. This morning on Breakfast Central, we're still looking at the Obi Kwankwaso defection to NDC. Obi has warned members against litigation, and let's hope that they listen. Presidency slams Peter Obi over ADC exit. The APC doesn't seem to be taking this lightly. Federal government to begin repatriation of Nigerians from South Africa over xenophobic attack. Interesting. Police force dismiss officers over Mene Ogidi murder. We did share that with you. We'll be bringing more details as we review the front pages of the newspaper with our analysts and with you. Then we'll open the phone lines. Stay with us.
The tutelage of the leader of this party. And we don't do anything until it is commanded. First and foremost, we want to present to Your Excellency, distinguished Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. On the other hand, ably supported by our leader, a new Nigeria, we present to the in-law that have already been accepted the membership card of the NDC. of your entry, this is what we decorate you with. It's also decorate the reigning principality. The tutelage of the leader of this party. And we don't do anything until it is commanded. First and foremost, we want to present to Your Excellency, distinguished Senator.
Whether you like it or not, that's one of the biggest stories coming out from Nigeria. But joining us now to have this conversation, especially looking at what this means for the opposition and looking at 2027 election, we have Dr. Olatunji Disu who joins us. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Disu.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to you all.
Good morning. We'll also mention that we have other guests who will be joining us later on in the course of this conversation. But did you see this coming? And what do you make of the movement, especially the timing, and even though the ADC was gaining so much ground?
In politics, everything is possible. You just have to be on your toes. It's like walking a minefield. You've got to be careful with every step. I wouldn't say that we saw this coming, but it is not totally strange that we are here and with the present situation at hand. Essentially, because when you look at the way everything unfolded in politics, well, where is the place of quality leadership? Leadership that endures, leadership that is not only there for the people, but must be seen to be there for the people. And I am literally scandalized, embarrassed by the fact that the two gentlemen who, people we hold in high esteem, they have, carved out in
I'm afraid, Dr. Disu, I think we do have network connectivity issues there. We're not able to really get your responses, especially for this conversation. We're also working on ensuring that the network will afford us the opportunity to have the other two gentlemen to join us, especially from the Obedience Movement and one from the ADC as well. Hopefully, they will be able to connect and then we can have this conversation on a broader landscape.
But from what I can deduce so far, from the little we could get from Dr. Disu, is there's a sense of disappointment in the two gentlemen that left the ADC. Dr. Disu, it's good to have you back. We had network connectivity issues, so I'll just let you complete your thoughts. Go ahead, Dr. Disu. Yeah.
Yeah, these two gentlemen, they took high regards for in politics because of their pedigree and because of their experience and because they have contributed, in the political culture and socialization of politics to this moment. But we are disappointed. I am personally disappointed that it is not the act of their leaving that bothers me, but the integrity of the process. By now, they should have graduated from playing, the politics of, migratory life, the politics of, moving from one point to another, migrating from one party to the other simply because, you don't have certain things that you think that should be meant for you entirely. And these two, to me, they have descended from what many see as heroes to a parochial and primordial disposition to politics. It is about what they want, what they get, and if they don't get it, then they move to another camp. There is nothing the ADC has not done to pamper these two. You can recall the footage in Kanu. A whole team left Abuja and went to Kano to receive Kwankwaso into the ADC. That was less than 6 weeks ago. And 6 weeks on, he that makes him unsettled. There is nothing.
Dr. Sadi, we're struggling with your connectivity, and we're hoping that that it can be sorted out in a bit. But you've said that it's not about the issue. Your issue isn't in the fact that they left, but in the way that they left. And you've mentioned that the two of them, the two leaders, were pampered by the party, making reference to how they were received into the party. What better way would you have said would have been fitting for them to leave the party? And do you see the sense in which they had to leave this party at this very dire minute? We have a deadline, or they have a deadline rather, 10th of May, right? We all as Nigerians are watching how we're counting down the days to the 10th of May for every party to submit its membership form, and then 30th of May, they should have conducted primaries. So do you see a sense in which you understand why they left, and what better way would you have recommended them to have left?
They are rather of they probably, and they're not. It's not even a probability. No, they are clearly, not comfortable with joining the best practices of primaries, elections. Concerning primaries, the party was very clear. It's very clear, ADC, that every person will be given a platform to contest, to vote, and to be voted for. And they are probably afraid that, they may not necessarily measure up to their own expectations. And so they wanted to have, a free ride, a free ticket, and a free movement to the very top, and probably pick a ticket. And the ticket can only be available for one person. It cannot be split between the two of them or between all the contending and competing parties to the ticket. And the party was very explicit, very clear, and that the ground is leveled for everybody to come and compete. And I think they made a kind of political SWOT analysis and discovered that, they will not probably measure up, and so they had to run to another, platform to actualize their own, their own dreams. But in doing so, to me, they have shown, they have condescended to a point where they have shown disregard to the ADC. Peter Obi especially. I can tell you loud and clear, Peter Obi was so pampered, by the ADC to a point that meetings that, started during the formation of the ADC were sometimes done after informing Peter Obi and getting his own consent and agreeing to the time. Then others will be informed, including Atiku Abubakar and Rotimi Amechi, El-Rufai, and the rest of them. We showed him respect. He brought the national organizing secretary of the ADC, who is the engine room of the party. And many other things were done to him. to accommodate him, to make sure that, the ground is leveled for him, to feel comfortable enough to belong. But then I have come to the inescapable conclusion that voting ambition and the character of a person that believes that he must have it his own way, if he doesn't, then, things must fall apart.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saliu. We would like to bring in our second guest at this point, Justin EJ. Dr. Saliu, many would argue that the reason why they left was because of political pragmatism. But let's hear from Justin EJ, National Publicity Secretary of the OK movement. I mean, Nigerians woke up got the news of your principal, Mr. Peter Obi and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, leaving the ADC that they were barely months in to join another party, the NDC. What informed this decision, and what do you make of critics that say your principal is a political nomad devoid of principle? And Mr. Dr. Saliu just told us that the manner in which they left was not palatable and quite ungentlemanly. How do you respond to that?
Thank you, and good morning. Thank you for having me. Well, what I will say is this. His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi made a promise to Nigerians, made a promise to his supporters and followers that come rain or shine, he would be on the ticket for the presidency in 2027. Because it is clear to everyone who is not acting in bad faith that there is a very well-orchestrated effort by the establishment to prevent that from happening. Yesterday, in the midst of a lot of very hard-taken decisions, he fulfilled that promise by picking up the membership of the NDC. And we are happy about that. Opinions may vary, and clearly there will always be criticism, and people will have their say and their opinion on what he's done. But as I've just said, the support base, we in the OK movement, our brothers in our sister movement, Kwankwaso and the obedient movement, are elated and enthused by what eventually played out yesterday. And it all played out in front of Nigerians up to the last minute. Conversations were had, accords were reached that were breached. It was not the most effective way for the coalition to have played out, but it was the only way for us not to find ourselves in a situation that was predetermined. As we have often said, as his supporters, for us, Peter Obi is our political party. What does that mean for people who may not have been following the conversation? We want a Peter Obi presidency. The establishment is scared of a Peter Obi presidency. With 36 governors or 37 or 38, if they like, with the entire instruments of the Nigerian state at their disposal, we saw all the efforts to frustrate this man for presenting himself as the alternative for Nigerians. And yesterday, we trumped that card. That is our response.
Okay, I mean, talking about your response, there's also, you said people would talk, you're expecting a lot and so on and so forth. But don't you think that maybe Mr. Peter Gregory and Rabiu Kwankwaso could have just gone ahead with the ADC, looking at the fact that, I mean, primaries must be conducted? Or do you think it was a case of not being certain that they were able to have held their own and emerge as the president and vice presidential candidates?
Any certainty speak to me about what the position of the pending legal cases against the ADC would be? Just in conversation.
Come again, I didn't get your question.
I said, can you, with any certainty, tell me what you think that the legal disposition of the judiciary would be in the light of the pending cases against the ADC?
Well, nobody can actually, answer that.
You can't preempt the
preempt the court to know what the answers would be. Or are you trying to say that it is majorly because of the legal case with the against the ADC or before the ADC that made Mr. Peter Gregory just move quickly?
That plays. I'm glad that you answered the question. I was hoping I wouldn't get.
I'm asking. It's a question. It's a question.
Questions.
I said, "Are you?" It's a question. I didn't answer.
No. I'm glad you answered the question that I had.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then I'm going ahead to respond to you now. So, if you're following how things have played out, you find that there seems to be an attempt. There is an attempt of entrapment, and that was a risk too large to take. We had hoped that the Supreme Court, which had prayers in front of it a few days ago, that would lay to rest the issue of justiciability of membership issues or disputes in political parties. We had hoped that the court would make that pronouncement. We had hoped that the court would respond to the prayers in front of it. But in its wisdom, the court referred the matter back to the Federal High Court, and that simply threw a spanner in the works, because there's a clock ticking. All right, you have the electoral clock ticking down. As I said, in summary, it was a risk too big to take, aside from the internal lack of cohesion, if I may call it that, on what the direction should be, which could have also been cleared up a long time ago. So at the end of the day, what mattered most is that we cannot allow a situation where we do not present a viable opposition to this government that needs to go away. And like I said in my very first response when I joined this conversation, what happened yesterday gives us daylight in that respect.
All right. Mr. Saliu, let's bring you back into the conversation. I don't know if you have any thoughts on some of the points he has made before we go ahead with our next question.
There's always the propensity, the chance to deflect on the core issues. Look, the judgment of the Supreme Court was emphatic. It restored leadership back to, David Mark and his exco. And that more than presupposes the fact that the party is now intact. The exco is in place, and the issue of court cases or issues of the court being deferred or sent back to the lower courts are processes in law. Look, as we speak, if you can recall, President, with impending court cases before him that are related to election matters. Leadership does not condone vacuum, neither does the law. And so the fact that there is an exco in place and the Supreme Court didn't want to issue a rebuke to the lower courts, it is given that, and I'm not trying to touch the line of sub judice here, it is given that these issues are literally sorted out. Look, what you saw, the defections in my view, in the view of our party, was just a masterclass of transactional politics, quintessentially transactional and migratory, simply because there are issues that are more important, more germane, that dictated their movement, not the issue of courts, not the issue of leadership, not the issue that are being bandited around. And ADC is not perturbed by their movement out of this bigger and larger than we are focused on, hitting the bull's eye, and that is to aggregate all the opposition-minded Nigerians to ensure that this government,
All right, Dr. Saliu, we still are struggling with your audio, but we hope that we can still reconnect with you again and the audio will be clear before the conversation is over. I want to bring back Justin Ije into the conversation. Some of the concerns that have been expressed by supporters of the OK movement are that there are worries about the issues that have led Peter Obi to move from party to party. There are worries that it will happen again. So, Justin, if you're there with us, what are your thoughts about the possibility of, one, the NDC being able to meet the deadlines set by INEC, and two, even though Peter Obi has warned against or advised against litigations, do you fear that the same fate will befall the NDC?
Okay, we seem to have some connection issues with Justin, but let's try and connect back to Dr. Saliu. Now, Dr. Saliu, speaking from a pragmatic point of view, do you believe Do you believe that, or what do you make of the fact that Mr. Peter Obi left because, I mean, his chances of securing a position, of securing
the party ticket
in the current ADC was slim because of litigations, and his move was just based on political pragmatism of, seeing the handwriting on the wall. Is that not a valid enough reason, looking at the series of litigations and court battles that your party is currently dealing with?
They are almost literally sorted out. When you talk about litigation, there are only two litigations, really. One is to do with the, state party leaders whose tenure is expiring on the 12th of May, less than 2 weeks to go. And so the case will die a natural death. The second one has to do with a group that is being sponsored by the government, the association or whatever they call themselves, or former lawmakers that went to the courts to seek for the deregistration of the party. That will not fly. So when people tell you in the Obi or Kwankwaso camp that, legal issues, no, these are smoke screens given. They are just escapist tendencies to hide under these kind of pronouncements so that they do not face, the primaries, which we say it should be there for everybody to participate, to contest, to vote. And, if you win, you win. But neither Peter Obi, nor Kwankwaso, nor any other presidential candidate can predetermine what the party will give to him. It cannot be given to you or anybody on a platter of gold. It's a competition. So they are literally afraid of competition. And they've gone to a party, in my view, that is, created from the boardroom of the APC and the Tinubu government. The NDC
are you saying the NDC? Are you saying the NDC is an extension of the APC?
The NDC is a subset of the APC. The NDC was never, visibly, mentioned among the parties that have passed the integrity test for registration. It was a product of a courtroom. And if that could happen, then it should tell any Nigerian, and most importantly, intellectuals in politics with pedigree like Peter Obi and Kwankwaso, that the NDC will not fly. And it's not a question of when, but how soon. The NDC will be visited by the same daggers, and they will be on the cliffhanger, just like the Labour, the NNPP, and other parties that have been, bedeviled by this thing, by this crisis.
And the ADC?
So what I am saying, gentlemen and ladies, is that, look, the ADC remains the most viable veritable, dependable platform for the opposition to work, as a coalition to wrestle and win power in 2027.
All right.
If you operate in molds and circles, you are likely to be so fragmented that you cannot win when you are working in a manner that things are falling apart.
All right, Dr. Sali, let's hold on for a moment. I want Justin Ije to respond to that. You said that the NDC is a subset of the APC, and I want Justin to respond to that, and also to respond to the question I had asked earlier, which is what you had alluded to, that the same fate will befall the NDC that has, affected the other parties. But before you respond to that, Justin, we need to go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a response. Welcome to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at the political chess that has happened in the past few hours with the ADC and the NDC and the leaders moving, and we're still joined by our guests. Thank you very much for being here. Before we went on the break, Justin Ije, I think you have the right of response. He had said that the NDC, Dr. Sali said that the NDC is a subset of the APC. And the other question is, how can you guarantee that what has befallen the other parties will not happen to the NDC as well? Do you have fears that maybe internal factions will emerge or court cases will emerge that will sort of destabilize the party, or political landmines, like many refer to them as?
Well, thank you for that question. And with due respect to Dr. Sali, I do not know that he has any definitive facts about the allegations he's now making about the NDC being a subset of the APC. We will not join issues based on sentiment or passion or emotion. The facts for us are that we would rather have a clear line of sight on who the opposition is to our ambitions and aspirations. And it is better for us that those hindrances are from the outside in and not from the inside out. I would rather know that the people standing behind me are actually with me and are not daggers drawn. And so, as to the issue of court cases and factions springing up, we all know that that is the modus operandi of the establishments and the APC. We are confident at this point that we stand clear of any of the usual technicalities that they want to leverage on to create those internal fractures within. Is that
not a bit premature, Justin? The party is just barely 2 months. You haven't yet conducted your primaries. Is that not a bit premature?
Is what not a bit premature?
I mean, you are talking about being free of any of the issues that would ensure that they can create factions within the party and all of that. They haven't yet conducted a primary. If we see a number of the parties that have factional issues, it's because of a leadership argument, a leadership disagreement. The leadership disagreement hasn't yet come to play because you haven't yet conducted your primaries. So don't you think that your analysis or your assessment of it being free of all that hiccup is a bit premature?
My assessment is happening within a specific time frame, which is the now. Definitely, given that the main strategy of this administration is to disrupt. I mean, we all heard the chief of staff to the president 2 weeks ago or thereabouts encouraging that very behavior and speaking clearly and saying we will support it. We're not under any illusions that they will try. The attempts are welcome, but we have made a calculated decision, having reviewed all the options available and the best path forward. So, stupid will do as stupid does. The APC will do what it knows how best to do, and we stand ready to respond. And like I said, we are, however, in the current situation as of this morning, in a more comfortable position where it is clear to us that those who stand with us are actually with us.
All right, I want Dr. Sali to also respond because he did make a strong statement about the NDC being a subset of the APC And like you've rightly said, you said that you do not believe that he has any proof to substantiate this. Dr. Saliu, you had mentioned initially about the brouhaha regarding the registration of the NDC. Do you have any tangible evidence to say that indeed the NDC is a subset of the APC?
Excuse me, I'll leave that to you and your research, staff in your newsroom to go in and discover how the NDC was registered, whether it was part of the list of parties that have passed the integrity test and were scored by INEC. No, they were not. And like I said, if they were registered, and barely 2 months ago, and the ADC was in consultations with the likes of Mr. Peter Obi, Raf Nwosu, Atiku, Amechi, El-Rufai, and the list goes on and on for over a period of 2 years before this whole process was midwifed. And in my view, what Nigerians expected should have been that the issues of, if you like, of competition, the contradictions and the subversions that are upon us should have triggered in us the passion, the staying power to come together and fight the APC and the Tinubu government. But leaders have descended, unfortunately, from being heroes, like I said at the beginning of the program, to champions of parochial and personal interest, the quest for power. And the quest for power can only be a quest that will sink in very well with Nigerians if that quest for power is for the common good. Okay. No, but is for their own personal interest. If it is done for the people, I thought all of us should coalesce. I thought all of us should be under the same roof and face the challenges. Nobody gave the ADC the chance that the Supreme Court will give us judgment. And I predicted on other platforms on the eve of the judgment that the ADC will get a judgment. If you don't have that staying power, if you don't have that energy, if you don't have that belief, if you are not consistent and dogged, if you don't have the fire in your belly to fight for the cause of Nigerians, to ensure that democracy succeeds, to ensure that a government that has brought hunger and poverty and anguish to Nigerians, is replaced, then we just beating about the bush. And we are playing into, the script of the APC and the Tinubu government by being fragmented. What is happening now between me and my brother, the publicity secretary of the obedience movement, is what the establishment wants. They want us to bicker. They want us to quarrel. They want us to disagree. And, I take exception to the fact that Mr. Peter Obi said that people should not come to the NDC, that they should stay where they are. These are comments that are unhelpful to the general future and interface of the opposition forces. We must be seen to work together. We may disagree. We may, bicker on some points.
Dr. Salisu.
But one of agreement is that we must be seen to synergize and work for the greater good of Nigeria's democracy and the future that it holds
Dr. Salisu,
all of us.
Because of our time, I just want to ask again. Do you think that Mr. Peter Gregory Obi and Rabiu Kwankwaso would have left the ADC if the former vice president hadn't heightened his interest in also running for presidency? Because during the Ibadan summit, it was said that there will be a presentation of one candidate, accepted, agreed by all. And now that he has left the ADC, doesn't this mean that the ADC will no longer be able to stand firm? Because we've seen the numbers, we hear that the numbers have dropped drastically. Your website is said to be under construction right now because people are logging in to deregister themselves. And then the followership is also not looking good online. What do you make of this?
No, on the contrary, they have left almost, more than 70% of their people behind. Not every member of the obedient movement, or those who even follow Obi that are not part of the obedience movement, are moving or have moved to the NDC with them. Ditto, Kwankwaso, I have seen footages and social media feeds of people in Kano and elsewhere rebuking Kwankwaso for this fault, if you like, move into the NDC. And look, Kwankwaso was with us 4 weeks ago. He will not add to his numbers, will not in any way deplete our own strength. And Peter Obi, like I said, he will not hurt us because the NDC does not exist for the obedient movement. The NDC exists for everybody. It exists for Peter Obi, for Kwankwaso, for Atiku, for Amechi, for El Rufai, and for everybody. And for somebody to feel that he must be allocated, like you said, in a seat in the presidential seat, that is not democracy. Everybody, the party has given its assurance that all candidates will compete freely, equitably, and everybody will have a level playing field. And so, to me, they probably are afraid of competition, and they have seen probably that their chances are not so bright in the ADC. And if that dictated their own movement out of the ADC, so be it. There are other people in the ADC that can drive the force of opposition to success. We are not perturbed or worried. And the idea of our own website, people going in, they're all fly about issues in politics that they will be triggered on to give the impression that there is fire in the mountain. There's no fire on the mountain in the ADC. In fact, the fact that these two have now left will give others the opportunity to troop in and make the ADC stronger than ever.
I'd like to bring Justin back into the conversation. Justin, Dr. Saliu said a number of things there, and I noticed you were shaking your head in disagreement. But before we get to your response to Dr. Saliu's statement, what do you make of his conversation about the reality of politics? Politics is a game of numbers, saying that, the current ruling party, which is a common, to use the term loosely, enemy of both of you, will be happy seeing the bickering, seeing the division in the opposition. And looking at the recent political history of Nigeria, the only time an opposition party defeated an incumbent party was because of a coalition, a coming together of political parties. Do you see that happening, looking at the current state of play with regards to opposition politics in Nigeria?
Thank you for that. And I like that you mentioned the reality of Nigerian politics. And when you want to discuss the realities of Nigerian political equation, you cannot do that without reference to the question of zoning. And while, like I said earlier, I really am loath to join issues with Dr. Salihu. We are not bickering, we're having a conversation. One question that stands out to Nigerians is the question of zoning. And if you go back to the ADC situation, it was very clear that the party was making a very faulty decision in choosing, in spite of internal conversations and pressures from our quarters, let's settle the question of zoning, right? We have a southern president today, and in that calculus, there's another 4-year term for the South. Why did we not settle the question of zoning and make it clear to all the aspirants in the party, speaking of the ADC, this is where we expect to field a candidate from? When the Ibadan summit ended and it was agreed, oh yes, there's going to be one candidate presented, why was the question of zoning not settled definitively? Right? Those are the issues. And so when people want to cast aspersion on Mr. Peter Obi by, oh, this, that, or the other, while ignoring the elephant in the room, it makes me, that's why I was shaking my head earlier when you said I was shaking my head when Dr. Saliu was talking. It's jejune to ignore the big question, right? Be that as it may, we have made a decision, we have moved on to the NDC, and credit to all of the other gentlemen who are still aspirants and remain in the ADC to vie for that ticket. It would have been an ideal situation to present a united front, but again, we are where we are. Nigerians will get the opportunity at the end of the day to decide who best to steer the ship of the state. And I think that is the most critical question. Who do Nigerians want to see leading the ship of state come 2027? That question will be settled, should be settled by Nigerians and in their entirety at the general polls. All of the calculations that politicians like to make should resolve to the question of what do Nigerians want. And I think that we stand on the right side of history today when we stand in a place where we can offer Nigerians that very clear choice. This is the person, or this is the combination that we think is best for Nigerians. Let Nigerians make that call.
Well, indeed, we'll have to leave Nigerians to make that call. The next few days will unearth maybe new secrets or plans that have been in the pipeline or in the works for a long time. We were expecting to see the political drama thicken, but we want to say thank you to the both of you for joining us this morning. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And all the best to your individual parties. All right, let's now bring you what's coming up next on Breakfast Central. And we will continue to take your reactions at some point, so keep them coming on YouTube. But let's share with you what's coming up next. Coming up next on Breakfast Central, presidency slams Peter Obi over ADC exit. Federal government to begin repatriation of Nigerians from South Africa over xenophobic attack. For a new government, UNICEF push to improve vaccination coverage.
What happened to your...
Welcome back. The Nigerian consulate in Johannesburg has issued a safety advisory urging Nigerians to avoid confrontation ahead of planned nationwide anti-foreigner protests across South Africa today, May 4, 2026. The protests, driven by groups accusing foreigners of taking local opportunities, are expected to disrupt major cities including Pretoria, Cape Town and Durban. Nigerians have been advised to stay indoors avoid protest areas and consider shutting down businesses temporarily due to fears of targeted attacks. Amid rising tensions, at least 130 Nigerians have registered for voluntary evacuation flights as directed by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with the federal government intensifying diplomatic efforts to ensure citizens' safety. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumegwu-Ojukwu, confirmed ongoing coordination with South African authorities, including engagement with Cyril Ramaphosa's administration.
The advisory follows recent protests and isolated incidents involving Nigerian casualties, heightening anxiety among citizens. Nigerian officials warn that further demonstrations expected between May 4th and 8th could escalate tensions as efforts continue to prevent violence and protect foreign nationals. Now, join us this morning to discuss this and more is legal practitioner and public affairs analyst Jide Ologun, and also a newly inducted fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. He's just added that feather to his cap. Congratulations.
Very much.
Congratulations.
Let's start with, yes, he deserves that. Let's start with the Nigerian government response to the crisis in South Africa. Do you think we're still diplomatically, soft peddling, or that the response should be harder? That's one leg of the question with regards to their condemnation of the attacks on Nigerian citizens. And the other leg is evacuation flights, procedures and advisory to Nigerian citizens in South Africa. Are you satisfied with the response coming from the Foreign Ministry?
In the interim, it's quite commendable, but I will counsel that it should be followed up by very, strong arrangements to protect the lives of Nigerians that are still in South Africa, because you have two categories of Nigerians in South Africa: those who are willing to return home and those who are not willing to return, but to confront the storms that may be there. So either way, there is need for protection. And I'm glad that they are being advised on how to handle the development. But by and large, for those who want to evacuate, I think the government should make solid arrangement for that, move them back to the country. And the big question is that even back in the country, do we have a situation that can reverse what pushed them out of the country, which is very important, which is attending to a macro environment, talking about the socio-economic indices. So for now, and the invitation of the South African High Commissioner for Diplomatic Discussion, that is good. But Aesop, a wise man, once said, after much is said and done, more is said and done. So it's a time of action now, because from what we are seeing, the South Africans who are driving this xenophobic campaign, they are not joking about it. And if you benchmark that with the comment of the president himself, who is saying that he condemns the attack, but that foreigners also should respect their host communities, then you can read between the lines to say that perhaps the time of reception may be over for foreigners, not just Nigerians, other foreigners who are in South Africa.
Black foreigners mostly. That's why they've termed it Afrophobia, not xenophobia, because there are lots of Germans in the Eastern Cape and in Cape Town, but these attacks are not.
But the problem now is, how did we even degenerate to this? Because first of all, we are all Africans. Before we are South Africans or Nigerians, how did we degenerate to this point where it seems that things have really gone very bad? According to reports, about 130 Nigerians have indicated their interest to be evacuated and brought back to the country. So how did we get here? And what is the implication of this on our relations, the relations between Nigeria and South Africa now and in the nearest future?
Brilliant question. You see, let's go to the etymology of xenophobia, and we now bring it to Afrophobia. It's a Greek word combining two words. The xenos stands for alien, then the phobos stands for fear. So the fear of aliens coming into your land, to snatch the advantages and opportunities you have from you. And you know, for South Africa, it took them a long run to get delivered from apartheid at a point where the wealth of the land was taken over by the white residents over there. And we know the role that Nigeria even played in supporting South Africa to gain freedom from apartheid, how Mandela spent 27 years in the prison. But then, because of that struggle, they have been conditioned to engage in issues with force. And I read a report recently. South Africa has one of the highest rate of unemployment in the continent, you know, above 30%. So it's not as if after the apartheid came, the black citizens in South Africa now moved into economic empowerment.
And a lot of economic inequality too.
Exactly. You know, so, and again, when you now see that Nigerians are very resilient, you know, they can engage businesses, and I'll talk about the social aspect. So they move in there, before you know it, they start thriving, and that extends to the social encroachment as perceived by South Africans, that maybe Nigerian men know how to handle the women more than they do, so the women flock after them and things. So you see that hatred now being amplified. And recently, something happened in South Africa which triggered the current one we are managing now. Somebody rose up and declared himself as like the king in a land, and the South African said, no, you cannot come from Nigeria and enthrone yourself as a king in our community. And there is a saying that old firewood no they had to light. You see, so these are people who already have in their
resentment.
Exactly, they have bruises, they have their hurts, and so just waiting for an opportunity. And again, there's this movement in South Africa against black foreigners in the hospital, and the perception is that majority of those who are considered aliens, these Africans aliens in their country, that they are not documented properly. So they've taken it upon themselves to go to schools, send some foreigners out of school, asking for their papers, you know, shut down their businesses. And then I read one of the politicians, I think Malema, in South Africa, responding to even South Africans that come. You are attacking these people. Where are the skills you have to even engage the businesses? That you better come up with the reality that you cannot even compete with them. But you see, that is not the main attention now. The main attention is to prevent the destruction that is confronting us right now. Even though the government has denied that no Nigerian has been killed, I still read a report that one or two persons were burnt alive or whatever, you know. And I think in 2016 or thereabout, the House of Reps even reported that about 116 Nigerians have been casualties to the xenophobia attack in South Africa. So it's an ongoing thing, and it's a continental issue also, you know, because like I said earlier, it's not just Nigerians alone that are caught in this cobweb.
All right, we'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at what the federal government is doing and the plans to ensure that the number of Nigerians who are returning home will return safely, and of course, possibly get something that they can start doing. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Breakfast Central continues. Welcome back. Well, we're still looking at the case in South Africa. We hear there will be a protest, and Nigerians in South Africa have been warned to stay indoors so that they do not engage in any form that could lead to the loss of life. We do have Barrister Jidelogu here with us as well. Let's look at the federal government's response. At a certain time, we do understand that when incidences like this occur, we always have a lifesaver. The government either jumps in very quickly during the Muhammadu Buhari, former late President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure. We also saw people like Mr. Allen Oyema you know, coming off with the flights, chartered flights to pick up Nigerians whenever we find ourselves in this chaotic system. Do you think there's a lack of diplomatic tie that could have forestalled these actions or allowed it to stay that long? If maybe we had a representative in South Africa who would have quickly jumped in, and the Nigerians would have felt more safe.
An ambassador.
You know, knowing that, you know, I didn't want to mention the name ambassador, but let's just call it what it is. And then also mention the diplomatic tie that would have led to such not even staying so long. I mean, they ought to have been back home if we look at it clearly.
For that, more can be done. But for the impact of diplomatic relationship on the crisis on ground, it's minimal. You are talking of people at the lower cadre who probably are not even interested in whether South Africa is relating with Nigeria. They are angry, they are frustrated, and they want to take it out. And like I mentioned earlier, there is also the perceived bias amongst leadership in South Africa. So you may only have lip service paid by way of condemning what is going on. But for quite a number of them, there are games going on within the continent. So just like asking in Nigeria that what has our diplomatic relationship with the US and the promise to help us fight banditry and terrorism, what has it delivered? When we still got a report that some are now even stoning the moving train, and I saw a video that they're even trying to cut the rail track, you know. So these are issues. We have those at the macro level, which diplomatic engagement can handle, which we, you know, impact on the response of the government. For instance, if the South African government really wants to prevent these attacks, it may be possible.
How?
Because the government, after God, is the next custodian of power.
Yeah, but the South African Constitution also allows you freedom of protest.
And the president has condemned it.
Section 14, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999, as amended, says that the security and the welfare of the citizens shall be the primary purpose of government. So do we have that security in abundance, if I may use that expression? So it's not about the laws you have. It's about those who are implementing it. You see, go and check the comment of the president of South Africa. So while condemning the attacks, he also said that foreigners in their land should respect their local authorities.
Talking about South Africa, Barrister Ologun, and it's it's ironic that the South African government was the first country to institute a case for genocide, probable cause of genocide at the International Court of Justice, ICJ, against the State of Israel for its genocide in Gaza. And now we're seeing that, you know, its people are intolerant to fellow Africans, black Africans. And this is not the first time this is happening. It happens almost every other year. There are cases of xenophobia. The African Union, again, has come out to condemn it, you know, issued a statement. But beyond statement, what can be done to, you know, put a final end to this and also educate this new generation of South Africans post-apartheid that didn't remember the sacrifices countries like Nigeria and many other countries paid, the role they played in the freedom of black South Africans, the freedoms they're enjoying today, to, you know, put an end to this?
You know, let's even start from Nigeria. We are talking about South Africa. What about what is going on in Ghana? Targeted at Nigerians also. The same excuses. In fact, some are even saying Nigerians come into their country to kidnap, to carry out nefarious activities. But again, Nigeria as a country, in January 1983, during the Second Republic, under Alhaji Shehu Shagari as the president, ordered undocumented Ghanaians to vacate. And yes, you remember the Ghana must go bag. Some politicians now turn to bribery conveyors eventually. So it's a general, I mean, I want to say it's a common thing within the African continent.
Is that not lazy? They're being intellectually lazy when you think it's migrants that are the cause of your economic failures.
It's one thing to realize that that is laziness. It's another thing to engage and, curb that trajectory. For instance, if Nigeria had that experience in 1983, what has the country done to ensure that their own citizens do not fall into that trap in another country at another time? I've said it. I did a research, and I think about a year ago now, the total population of the world is about 8.2 billion. And the African population within this is about 1.5 billion. And Africa has 40% of the whole resources of the world. So what are we supposed to do with resources? God has given resources to countries to develop. You know what I mean? I have not read, and I say this humbly by way of recommendations, I have not read that the citizens of UAE are being attacked in any part of the world and you go back to your country, or the citizens of Norway. I discovered recently Norway has the largest sovereign wealth in the world, about $2.2 trillion for generations unborn, managed from the oil revenue to invest in some frontline organizations and businesses across the world. So why can't we also do that? I mean, we've mentioned it here today. Not all Nigerians in South Africa are even willing to leave, despite all the threats, because they are saying...
Well, President Jonathan did try with the Sovereign Wealth Fund then, and the governor said, we have immediate needs, we need to spend the money now. So
but the reverse
spent the future.
In Norway, some leaders were tempted to move in that direction. But the government insisted that, no, we cannot do that. The fact that you have so much money should not make you to waste the money. You say, so save for the future. And that is the point here. So how can we at this point go back to Section 16 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, that mandates that the resources of the country should be harnessed in a way that we have a dynamic economy, a self-reliant economy, an economy that does not concentrate wealth or the means of making wealth in the hands of a few, so that you can have a developed environment that is accommodating. Now, like I said, okay, I think on a radio program this morning, that China is taking advantage of the crisis between America, Israel, and Iran now by offering 53 African countries, there used to be 33, free tariff to export into China. And the countries that will benefit are countries, African countries that are industrializing. You talk about Morocco and some other countries. So what are we doing?
You need a finished product. Yes.
Exactly. So what are we doing to prepare for opportunities like this? And like I mentioned earlier, the UAE now has exited OPEC because the production capacity is being pegged by OPEC. That's what we are talking about. So how do you reposition yourself within the global economy to create the enabling environment? I mean, the citizens want to stay in their country. Yes, we're in a global environment. You can move anywhere. But let that movement not be by compulsion. Let it not be by compulsion. Because when we go out there discussing with people, they even ask us, oh, and you are talking about xenophobia in Africa. Is the case in Nigeria any different? Where you have internally displaced people, where people are slaughtered. As we speak right now, about 2 weeks ago, I read that about 33 kings have vacated their palaces in Kwara State.
Yeah.
Kings.
Yeah.
They're not talking of subjects. So these are issues of our time. It's now for Africa to come together and stop this blame game. Oh, it's a colonialist. Now South Africa is free from apartheid. So is it the white?
They're free from political appetite, but the economic appetite is still there. Because the land, majority of the land and the economy is controlled by
you talk about Democratic Republic of Congo, very wealthy in terms of resources. You can go on and on and on and on. So few African countries have maximized the potentials they have. And I think that should be the narrative right now. If you know what to do with your resources, those who are coming to take over we leave you and allow you to develop your environment. But if you don't know what to do with it, they come in and take it over. Look at, you know, how Donald Trump is scouting around the world for
Venezuela.
Nations that are rich in resources but don't know how to manage that. Okay, we're happy to manage, you know. So this is time for leadership. Please, let's wake up. And Nigeria, this is being repeated and repeated. Sit down, Federal Executive Council, all the stakeholders. Going forward, how do we become pragmatic? How do we become strategic? At the time, the Israelis were scattered across the world. But at the time, God had to bring them back to their environment. So it would be a wonderful thing if Nigeria sits up now to look at the economic environment of the country, the opportunities available, and things like that. A young lady came to me in church yesterday that somebody wants to get a visa for her to go to, is it Pakistan or somewhere? And I asked her, I won't pray for you now. I will only give you an assignment. Do you have data? She said yes. You can access Google, yes. Go and learn in the between now and next Sunday, when I will really counsel you, what has happened to those who have, and because she told me the person trying to help her told her that she will need to come to Abuja to come and swear an oath with the mother that will help her. So I've given her an assignment.
Trafficking.
These are issues.
Yes.
At the time, the former governor of Cross River State, Professor Benedict Ayade, was in the Senate, and he rose up and challenged our girls are in Italy doing prostitution and we are here earning bogus allowances, and the then president of Senate, David Mark, shut him down, and they demanded an apology from him. You see, so we need to, what is going on in South Africa is grouped as in versus out. You know, in-house versus out. These people cannot come from a strange land. So if Nigerians are, you know, productive in their zeal and everything, then create the environment for them.
And to be fair, Nigerians are very resilient. There's often a running joke that if you go into any country and you don't see a Nigerian person, make sure you leave that country immediately. Because we are resilient, we know how to make the best. We take lemons and make lemonade, take pepper and make pepper soup. We can make the best out of really dire circumstances. But now I think my final question to you would be, you've said that African leaders, we need to stop this blame game. Everyone should come together and figure out how to fix our continent. What role, and I believe Benga has, you know, spoken to this or asked a question in this manner before, what role do international bodies like African Union, ECOWAS, what role do they play in bringing us together? And we've been talking about African unity for the longest time. Well, let's look for homegrown solutions.
How many albums?
Yeah, honestly, we're starting to sound like a broken record. Let's grow homegrown solutions for homegrown problems. Even when we're talking about climate change, they're saying we're the least contributors to climate change, yet we suffer the most implications. So how are we going to protect ourselves? All this that we're saying in terms of the continent coming together, do you see the practicality of it happening soon? Or are we being speculative at best?
I think we are, to be sincere, we are just being speculative. And I think seasons are going round and round. There was a time when it was all about service. It's no longer about service. You talk about ECOWAS. What has happened to Burkina Faso, to Mali? Those who jumped out that they are no longer interested. Thank God for the intervention of Nigeria. Benin Republic would have been out again, joining the military controlled nations in West Africa. And you talk about the AU. What proactive mechanism do we have to ensure that there is good governance in member states? It's important. See, when you talk about the United Arab Emirates, you talk about Doha, you talk about Dubai, you talk about Abu Dhabi, and it's not just Dubai that is UAE. They are all together. They move on the conveyor belt of prosperity. You see, and look at the Nordic region. You talk about Sweden and all those areas. You know, look at the Asian tigers that are, look at Singapore. Singapore left Malaysia in 1965, you know, as a nation with little potential, but with leadership Lee Kuan Yew migrated that country from a third world country to a first world country, even though God created one world. There are classifications in terms of development. And that's what we are saying. Let African leaders come together. It's not, and I read the book from third world to first world. And there was a jab on Nigeria when they were meeting on how nations can develop. One of our ministers came, a man, with flowing gown, like wedding gown, with huge entourage. And they shook their heads. Now, is this a serious nation? Are we still not in it today?
Still.
Flamboyance in government, and I said it, and please let leadership note it. Sheikh Zayed, the founding father of modern UAE, said that wealth is not money, but developing people.
That's where the money.
And that is what is happening in Africa.
Yeah.
Are you developing your people?
The greatest resources.
Are you developing? Exactly. Are you developing your people?
Switzerland doesn't even
have
have salt. Like, they have nothing.
The most black, populous.
So let the focus shift. What about education?
Do you see
what
this
about
sense of urgency? I mean, it's one thing to talk. That's a question Olive asked. Do you see this sense of urgency or the acknowledgement of the scale of the problems from our political leaders that it's within their powers to fix it?
For Nigeria now, on the scale of prioritization, it's 2027. It's all politics. So if any attention is paid to other concerns, it's absolutely secondary. But my advice is that if you prioritize care for your people, if you actually implement national interest, then you will have to spend less in terms of resources and energy in the political arena. You know that, but it's as if by virtue of conditioning in industrial psychology, we have been conditioned to this. You know, go and give them rice. I know by now trucks of rice will soon start moving around the nation.
They are resilient.
Exactly. Go and give the youth leader.
But
it's not just truck of rice. It's also underwear with people's faces printed.
They said it was AI. That was AI. But thank you so much.
Maybe that will come.
Thank you so much, Barrister Jide.
Thank you so much.
God bless Nigeria.
Very interesting
God bless
conversation we had
Nigeria
here.
indeed.
And may God protect our citizens in South Africa, and they should
And
be
hopefully
careful
one
also.
day we will actually come together as one continent and love each other like
But we love Amapiano.
we do. And they love.
My brother.
Right.
Let's go on a break. The front pages of the newspapers is up next.
During that break, we'll be dancing Amapiano in the studio. Let's talk about a decision that tells you everything about the priorities of our leaders. The allocation of prime Abuja land to ambassadors. And let it be clearly stated, this allocation follows a directive from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, not to teachers, not to doctors, not to the millions of Nigerians priced out of housing, but to political appointees already at the top of the system. A government asking the poor to endure pain while quietly expanding privilege at the top. Let's be clear, Nigeria today is not just struggling, it is statistically strained to breaking point. Inflation above 30%, food inflation above 35%, over 133 million Nigerians trapped in multi-dimensional poverty, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. And the housing crisis, it's severe and worsening. Nigeria's national housing deficit is now estimated at 14.9 to 15.2 million units based on recent 2025 to 2026 figures from the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development under the Tinubu administration. In Abuja, one of Africa's most expensive capitals, land prices have surged by more than 300% in a decade. For the average Nigerian worker, owning land in Abuja is no longer a goal, it's fiction. And yet, in the middle of this national emergency, the state steps in not to expand access, but to concentrate it. Land is being allocated, not through open markets, not through transparent auctions, not through social housing schemes, but through political designation. To ambassadors, to appointees, to insiders. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is the redistribution of scarcity upward. At a time when millions cannot afford a single room, the state is handling our plots. What tens, sometimes hundreds of millions of naira? No competitive process, no public scrutiny, no conversation, just quiet allocation. Now pause and consider the contradiction. Citizens are told reforms require sacrifice, that hardship today will secure tomorrow, that everyone must tighten their belts, but sacrifice only feels national when it's shared, when pain is collective, when leadership leads by example, when privilege expands at the very top while pressure intensifies at the bottom. The message Nigerians hear is different. That there are two economies, two realities, two Nigerias, and one Nigeria that endures, another Nigeria that allocates. This is bigger than land. It's about trust, it's about fairness, it's about whether opportunity in this country is becoming a closed circle. Because when citizens begin to believe that access depends on proximity to power, not proximity to hard work, when the ladder feels permanently lifted out of reach, hope quietly begins to erode. And when hope erodes, nations enter dangerous territory. The question, therefore, is simple and unavoidable. Who is this hardship really for? And who is Nigeria really working for? Good morning, Nigerians.
Very good question to ask right there. Who is the country working for? Well, let's go straight to our papers. And our guest is here in-house. We're talking about the one and only international journalist of repute, Mr. Habib Haruna. Thank you for being here. Good morning.
Morning. Mr. Habib Haruna.
We're not going to waste any more time.
Yeah.
Binga, you had a question?
Yeah, so many things happening. Last week, Monday, when you were here, the decision hadn't happened. So I guess it puts to bed the rumors of your former principal contesting for Lagos State's governorship, because we saw the GAC endorse Dr. Hamzat, and we also saw the president endorse Dr. Hamzat. And we've also seen Jendo. He stepped down his governorship ambition. Does that mean it's all clear to allow sir for Dr. Hamzat in 2027? Or do you see a formidable opposition to APC in Lagos State?
You know, I have to be very careful and measure my thoughts and remarks. This is a question, because my Oga is involved. You know, the Lagos State political terrain is very predictable. All the party apparatchik leaders and the people that control the structure, all the spoken, and all the leader of the party, the president, the president of the state, once he has said this is where we are going, everybody will fall. They will just fall back to where the man said they are going. I think it's what some of the leaders told me before they endorsed Hamzat. And once the president said this is where we are going, they will fall.
That's to align.
That's to align. So when it became very apparent that the president is supporting Hamzat, my boss had no choice, than to also throw his weight behind the party's, the party leader's favorite, this Hamzat. That's what is going on.
Very good.
Yeah.
Let's go to our first paper so we can begin. The Guardian. Let's go to the Guardian newspaper this morning. The big one. Opposition crumbles as Atiku takes Nigeria's crisis to global stage. Atiku slams federal government over declining foreign reserves despite 5 trillion naira oil windfall. And, of course, the big one, still another one, extrajudicial killing. IGP assures arrest, prosecution of suspects, and they've done that. We're waiting for the prosecution now. But the big one, Peter Obi, Kwankwaso, away from ADC, now NDC.
It's indeed a big one. Because, I've always argued on this platform that the only viable option for our democracy, for the opposition, is to come together under an umbrella. We get a candidate that can effectively challenge the current president, Bola Tinubu. During the Second Republic, the UPN, GMPP, MPP,
and some other parties, Awolowo, Azikiwe, Ibrahim Waziri, and the rest. Even Aminu Kano, they had planned to come together to form an alliance. Progressive People's Alliance. That did not work. It did not work and easily made Buhari to win re-election. So this time around, we are thinking that, well, these people can come together, come to their senses. In 2013, 2014, Tinubu led a coalition. Went to Kaduna, meet Buhari. You have lost 3 times. Now we are here. This is not the issue of crying. Let's come together. Your ascendancy is possible to be consummated based on our structure, on our alliances. Not strategize. You know, it's not something that you just, yeah, I'm ambitious, you're going up. No. You must come together. Together, you must form alliance, you must strategize together, plan everything together. Not individual ambitions. Not being opportunistic, but being pragmatic and believing that this thing can be done if you come together under one umbrella, supporting one candidate. Before the APC, before the party was formed, that they had that ambition, that their plans, that they must defeat Jonathan. But we must also make it very clear that Buhari is not Jonathan. Jonathan was not overbearing on the political space. But Jonathan appointed a Jega that did not know. Was my boss, was my Oga in the UK. He appointed Jega. Jega gave us a fair elections. Jonathan was not too abrasive in dominating the space to show that, yes, I will not allow a liberal, people will not be able to be free to organize themselves. But even at that, I was expecting the likes of Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Kwankwaso, Amici, to shape their personal ambition. I've said it here, shape their personal
ambition. So what did they
ambition.
talk about? When they went for that battle,
they were all the declaration was supposed to be.
What were they discussing?
I was thinking that they were ready for a fight. They were ready to battle this man, President Tinubu, and to sustain our democracy. But days after, it became very glaring that these guys were just full of themselves, ambitious. Even Peter Obi just, in my opinion, Peter Obi just like to be in the limelight. Social media, showing him, people only, but
playing tennis.
Obi is popular. Popularity does not translate to electoral vote. You must have structure, you must form alliance.
But it did in the last election.
I mean, look at Lagos.
You must be strategic.
But look at, the popularity translated to votes in Lagos.
But after Lagos, what happened?
No, but I can't completely say
that was there. That was 2023. Not now. Things have changed. People are now more enlightened. The political space have been strangulated. So people are now. You see, the only way you can challenge this man in a third world democracy, third world country, like Nigeria, is coming together under an umbrella. It happened in Sri Lanka. It happened in Kenya. It happened in Nigeria. For the first time, opposition party defeated a ruling party because they came together under one umbrella, believing that yes, this man will be support. Buhari became the arrowhead, and the defeated Jonathan.
So, from what has happened now,
yes,
what is left of the?
No, what I said yesterday to my friends when we were taking our beer is that there is no way they can defeat Tinubu. They just gave it to Tinubu second time. Because they're
going to split the votes again.
Yeah, we're going to split the vote.
So
and Nigeria will take them serious.
An alliance can still happen.
Nigeria, no, it's difficult. You see, Atiku will take, in my view, most of the blames.
Because I was about to ask you who should be blamed. Who is
Atiku, let that she have the blame. We're taking the Atiku. Atiku knew. He's an experienced politician.
Is it for not respecting zoning and region?
You cannot defeat Tinubu. This kind of Nakatisika coming together, fashion lies, opposition platforms. We need to come together. Give Nigeria an alternative. Present the candidate that can pose a challenge and eventually defeat Tinubu. But now the way that they're going about it shows that they're individualistic, they are not pragmatic, they are opportunistic.
Would you say?
And that is what they are.
Would you link this to greed?
So
greed.
No, part of it.
Or selfishness.
No. All of them. Even look at yesterday. I saw Obi and Kwankwaso. went to the house of one governor of Bayelsa State, like a Dixie, to pick that. I beg your pardon. We don't win parties. We don't win elections like that. We need to be serious.
But okay,
we have to plan.
Mr. Bijari.
So what would have
maybe you're being too hard.
Been the strategic plan? What would have been the strategic plan?
I thought we come together now under an umbrella.
No, but this coming together is obviously not working.
Well, they're not under an umbrella and they were facing litigation.
Why is it not working? Because they don't want it to work.
But they were under an umbrella.
Their argument is not that they don't want it.
As they were planning, some of them were still campaigning on their own. I've now stepped down for this. I will step down for this. I must contest. This is my last chance of contesting. What are we talking? That is not the issue. The bigger picture out there is how do we defeat the ruling party? It's not for me. It's for all of us. It's for the country. It's for democracy. If they have that in mind, as a mindset, they will now plan ahead, form alliance. The south, southeast, southwest, northeast, north central, northwest, come together. Look for someone. Not saying that let's go to the field to do primaries. Well, you know that Atiku will win. The structure of ADC favors Atiku Abubakar. Like you have a man that form his own party, like a Dixie, and give his ticket. We cannot win the national election by so doing. It's not possible.
Is there perhaps a possibility that the NDC was already formed with this outcome in the ADC in mind, knowing that, this is our backup plan if the ADC starts to malfunction?
Don't forget that even the founder of NDC, like have been moving around with Makinde before now. Now, if ADC fails, I have a platform for you. So when it became apparent to Kwankwaso and Obi that they're not going to get a ticket in ADC, the only alternative platform that is viable in their view is to go to NDC. That's what they did yesterday. And by so doing, diminishing their chances of winning elections. You cannot defeat this man alone. You cannot. It's a ruling party, for God's sake, with the structure, with institutions, with money, and the governors behind him. So the only option you have
is to work together.
That deceiving yourself that they are doing now. Is
there a possibility that the APC is also shaken by this? Because there have been speculations about the president not going on a planned trip because
and comments from top APC.
And then top APC chieftains like Bayo Nanuga and the rest making commentary on this. Calling that be a political nomad.
Taking Panadol for another man's
headache. Crying more than the bereaved.
Are you sure they are not smiling?
The president will be taking tea now.
Correct.
And this ADC would have been the best platform. Come together, all of them coming together. Experienced politicians. They have their past, they have their present, and they can think of what to do. Coming together and say, okay, gentlemen, we are all in a room now. Forget your ambitions, please. What do we think can defeat this man? So we can rally another person.
Do you?
That's what Russia should have done, but these people are selfish.
Do you think?
Come, let me tell you something. These people they are not for Nigerians. These people, the politicians. I'm saying it openly. They are for their personal interest and their pocket.
It's like one of our
and it's unfortunate.
Like one of
I've always, by the way, I've said it here consistently.
Let's open the phone line.
To defeat this man, the ruling party, we must come together, must do everything to put your resources together and support the candidate.
Okay.
That is what happened in 2014, for God's sake.
That the APC, was able to merge.
There was the primaries in Lagos.
Yeah.
That Fashola hosted with Tinubu there. All of them came together and said, we need to support Ebuari. Ebuari, with his anti-corruption mantra, is the only way you can defeat the ruling party. And they came together.
All right.
And they defeated Jonathan.
All right, let's mention that our phone lines are officially open as well as YouTube. We're streaming live on News Central TV Live, so you can drop your comments there as well. But let's take our first call for this segment. Frank is calling from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Frank. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning, Olive and others in the studio.
Morning.
I want to react on the infection of Kwankwaso and Titobi. For me, it's not a welcome development. Just like your guys have earlier said, these defection have already divided their votes. They're supposed to form a unified opposition, as they said in Oyo. But I found out that the Oyo meeting does not hold water. There is no way they can defeat Tinubu with a divided vote. It happened in 2023. Now it has happened again. And the one thing I don't like in Obi does not want to run primaries with anybody. He can't come on opposite where you see life of a road between Kamechi, Atiku, Abubakar, and all that. He can't just want to be presidential candidate. Let them bring you on opposite. It's not done anywhere. Obi should learn how to contest primaries first before contesting the major election. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, let's take some...
I believe people have been too hard on Mr. Peter Obi. It's about survival. And he's saying that if he remained in a drowning ship with all the litigation, his hands might be tied. He won't even get to contest with everything that is happening within the ADC. So he had no choice but to leave. And why is that so hard to acknowledge and understand? Let's take Uche. Uche from Abia, good morning to you.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Uche. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this analysis for me is neither here nor there. The problem we are having is INEC and judiciary. Let the judiciary maintain the rules of INEC, not technicalities. Nigerians will know whom they are going to vote for. Whether your life is better off under this administration or not, Nigerians will vote. The problem is INEC and judiciary. Let them be transparent, both the judiciary and INEC. Technicalities, we don't want it. God bless you people.
God bless you too. Thank you very much for that.
Angle to look at it. Said all this one we argue doesn't matter. Even if indirectly, let's say, even if Peter Obi decides to join the NEPA.
No, it's personal opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, we have been saying part of the major principles of democracy is supremacy of the rule of law. An independent electoral body that will conduct a free and fair elections, credible, transparent. But at the same time, the players of the game, the politicians, they are also supposed to play by the rules. And if politics is about winning, we're planning to win elections, then you must come together and plan to win. We don't win an election by being selfish, by being greedy, by being opportunistic, from jumping from one place to the other. People will not trust you. Nigeria is a big country. Nigeria is not just southeast, southwest, or not. Nigeria is a big country. You must form alliance. You must build structures. You can be popular. By being popular, you can be in the room. But to maintain that presence in that room, you must have structures. That is why these people are lacking. That's why Obi is lacking. All right. It's not just social media.
You don't see a third force emerging beyond Kwankwaso, beyond the heavyweights we've seen in the ADC. You don't see a Sheyi Makinde emerging?
No, I think it will be difficult. There are even speculations that Sheyi Makinde had told the supporters not to pick PDP forms. Yes, that by tomorrow they're likely to pick form of APM or NDC. So these guys are just rudderless.
APM.
They are confused people.
Pentecostal
They are confused people. So this issue is not a sprint. To win election is not a sprint. It's a marathon.
It is a marathon.
You must plan it.
Okay, let's quickly
run. That is why Tinubu is always a master of the game.
Let's quickly run through the front pages,
these guys are just,
of the papers, and just so our audience has a brief overview of what is being talked about. Still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, NAF strikes terrorists, destroys Abasu Aiki's hideout in Katsina. Extrajudicial killing, IGP assures arrest, prosecution of suspects. Federal government summons South African envoy over xenophobic attacks and amid concerns about rights infringements. Niger Correctional Center transports inmates to court in tricycle amid vehicle breakdown. That is Keke Marwa. That's what they use.
Inmates are very good. Thank God we don't have a Michael Scofield among them.
Do you understand? Reps probe $4.6 billion HIV and TB funds. World Press Freedom Day. Serap, NGE, HHRC demand safety, justice for journalists. Article slams federal government over declining foreign reserves despite 5 trillion naira oil windfall. Presidential form. Labour Party says 50 million naira. ADC 100 million naira per candidate. Wow. Lagos workers demand 225,000 naira as NLC prepares for wage negotiation. And finally, Nest Oil bad loans halt UBA, First Bank, Access Bank dividend payments as banking sector stability threatened. That's all on the front page of the Guardian.
Let's take Salisu from
But let's take this call,
from Kano itself.
Salisu, bonjour, Salisu.
Yes, how are you? Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Are you excited, Salisu, to see the Kwankwaso movement go to NDC?
Yes, absolutely.
Why?
NPP, ADC, now NDC. In 1 year, in less than a year.
Honestly, it's unfortunate. ADC could have been a better opposition. But unfortunately, all this happened within a short period of time because of the litigation that they are having in court. But meanwhile, I think it's a good decision for Obi and Kwankwaso to move out from ADC to NDC. Why? Because Atiku is a problem in ADC. Sorry to say, he will not allow the ticket for the South. He is always insisting that he must have the ticket. While it's a tradition in Nigerian democracy that northern state will do 5-8 years, and then southern leadership will take 8 years. But unfortunately, they have to move. I think it's a very good decision they have taken. But meanwhile, ADC, I believe, could have been a better opposition if they will come together. So that's it. So let's just hold on and see what will transform in the next few days or weeks. But I'm sure ADC platform now is very vibrant because of what happened between yesterday and today. Thank you very much.
Aruna, I want you to respond to what Salisu said. He said ADC would have been a better platform. Do platforms really matter in Nigeria? Because people are just voting for the individual. If you ask the average Nigerian, what is the difference in the manifesto of the NDC and the ADC? Nobody will know, even if you ask members of the party. So does it really matter? Or as long as they see a person's name associated to this party, that's what they vote for?
Is perhaps the embryonic nature of our politics. We are still growing.
It's a nascent democracy.
Absolutely.
So a 27-year-old child.
Democracy is never a destination. As I've been saying, it's a journey. Even in America, it's a journey. When you fall down, you stand up again, you move. What Salisu has said is important. Because when ADC was formed, look at the support and the acknowledgements it generated among Nigerians. That finally we have an opposition platform that can challenge APC. The likes of Atiku, Kwankwaso, Obi, and Meji coming together. A lot of was generated with information.
And the likes of Nephew Balagombe.
So all of a sudden, we saw what happened. Some hands, some external influences.
There's a question for you.
Yes.
On YouTube. I mean, there are comments. Michael Obieku says Atiku is the big problem here and not Peter Obi. The electorate will have the final say regardless of the power of incumbency Tinubu thinks he's going to enjoy. Nigerians are tired of the APC government. Mokinyo Chukwemeka says, is Atiku working for Tinubu? Just thinking. That's one. Then the second one, Joseph Smart says, good morning, Oliver and crew. Why is your guest not seeing that ADC is no longer viable? Is it the same ADC that still has multiple court cases that he wants Obi and Kwankwaso to remain in? Oh, come on. Paya Samako says, good morning, beautiful crew. Come to think of it, APC and ADC sounds alike. They look alike. Now with NDC, that's like a fresh new start. It should not be underrated. Lovely week ahead.
Fine reactions and comments. So we are saying the same thing. The essence is that under ADC, that would have been a better platform.
Why? Because of the
people that are there.
But the same people,
the same big gladiators, exactly.
You have more than one.
I'm saying that they should have been able to come together on their own, lock the door, and decide where are we going, what are we doing, what is the way out. Can we also, and that is where Atiku comes in. Atiku is an older person.
Exactly.
More experienced politician. You should have been able to say, Tinubu paved way for Buhari.
But it's easier said than done.
Tinubu was the financier, was the person, was the arrowhead, was the one that was kingmaker, pushing them around. In 2014, Buhari did not spend a dime. Because Tinubu knew pragmatically that if this still work, I can use that platform, that structure, to consummate my own ascendancy. That's exactly what happened. But these people they don't think about it.
These individuals have invested. Like Olive said.
Atiku should realize that Obi was the one that was animating that party, making people to like it.
After spending millions.
Yeah, because Obi is popular. Campaign. But Obi needs that structure. Atiku owns that structure. Obi needs it to win. By leaving that structure now, his chances of winning has been reduced. And that is the reality. The obedient people that are watching should realize that fact. Popularity does not translate to votes. They must have structures, they must form alliances, they must come together, strategize to win the national election. That is the reality. That is what Obi is facing now. The dilemma is facing. That is why it is easy for the president to win second time in office because people are not organized.
Reality check here. It's easy to say, they should drop their personal ambitions.
No, they should not drop. They should go ahead.
Even on this set,
Nigerians will decide.
Olive is still dragging leadership with me and Joe Hansen. That's why Joe had to go and buy a bell of conscience. Anti-bell of and me too, I had to go and bring my whistle of conscience.
Wow.
Yes, to show who the leader is.
All I have is
even
my
three
voice.
of us cannot agree.
Democracy is a team of the game of numbers.
Yeah.
You cannot say you are popular. You must have that structure to consummate it. That's why people should be told, not just make it on social media. Build local structures across the country. Build alliances.
But they are trying to do that. Their argument is that they are trying to do that, but that they believe that the ruling party has been setting landmines for them to.
They should stop it. They should not allow it. They should not allow it. They should not. They themselves should be more careful.
But can we agree that?
Yes.
I mean, we can look at it from a different side of a coin. Can we agree that yes, on one hand, ADC was the strongest opposition. On the other hand, if Obi had remained there, they had litigation cases. They're going back to the High Court, and nobody knows which way it's going to turn. So we had to quickly make a decision. May 10 deadline is also around the corner. So should one really blame him for having jumped ship immediately?
No, you can't blame him as a certain individual. He's free to have his way in everything. Because even if it remains in ADC, I could have won the primaries. The best bet would have been to Atiku Abubakar. It's okay. I'm not contesting. Let's support this man.
So that's like the main
I told you that what we
and the same thing that happened in the last
the same issue that caused the minister's fight with
not Atiku otherwise. So now that they have left, the reality is that the chances of winning have been reduced. That is the reality. We contest the election, but can he win on that platform based on what is on ground? Do they have the structure? Do they have the reach? What are the people that?
In response to you, Ikechukwu Emmanuel, as we wrap up, quickly, do you think the ADC can survive
now as it stands?
No, they will remain by name, but they cannot pose a threat.
Okay, all right.
They cannot pose a threat.
In response to you,
I'm telling you indirectly that Tinubu's second term in office
is guaranteed.
Absolutely guaranteed.
All right.
Because people are not serious.
Well, the people
they are selfish. They are opportunistic.
Ikechukwu Emmanuel responds to you says, we hear all this talk. 2023, Obi will shock them. And that's how we wrap up the show. Thank you for joining us today. Of course, I have to definitely wrap up by giving a shout out to our friend, one of us, class of 86, Imam, my God. He turns 40. He's class of 90. He's not one of us as per year, but he's our friend, Imam, my God.
Why class of 86?
Because 90 was born in 1986. He turns 40. Yes. So happy birthday to Ima, oh my God, who turns 40. And we wish you the most incredible year, the most incredible celebration. Thank you to our virtual audience. We'll be back
happy
again.
Birthday, Ima.
Yes, happy birthday, Ima. See you tomorrow.
That bell is not for, and I'm the leader of this team.
It's okay. You should give way for others to move now.